Upgrades.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another JVS movie review brought to you from the Sundance Film Festival. This film here is starring Jennifer Connelly, and this one is called Bad Behavior. And here's the quick synopsis. Lucy, a former child actor, seeks enlightenment at a retreat led by spiritual leader Elon while she navigates her close, turbulent relationship with her stunt performing daughter Dylan. And this one is also starring and directed by Englert, and is also starring Ben Whishaw, who plays the spiritual leader in this film. Now, at first I thought this was going to be a straight up dark comedy, something that can really go off the rails, but something that can be extremely entertaining. I was kind of right here, but also thrown off a little bit by it. Now, as we're introduced to the film, we see Jennifer Connelly's character, Lucy, as she's just driving away and communicating with her daughter, like, hey, you're not going to be able to reach me for a couple of weeks. I'm going to be at this retreat thing. Contact your dad if you need any emergencies. From that opening conversation between mother and daughter, we can see that they don't have a necessarily close relationship. And we're kind of wondering, okay, with them not having this close relationship, how's this going to go down this path when Lucy goes off to this retreat? Which one is a silent retreat, meaning when you get there, you're not supposed to talk at all. It's only very limited discussions. When the group setting is there, and they go through the rules of this retreat when you get there, and at that point you think, okay, I'm in for a very fun type of dark comedy, which this film promises to give you. The issue with this film is, though, it's just too long. The premise of it is not enough to justify how long this movie is. And when I say long, this is a long movie, and it feels even longer because of it. But while we're very much introduced to these extremely interesting character in Lucy, and the character that Ben plays, Elon, who is the spiritual leader of this whole resort, it's very much like a new age type of thing. I want to say like a Gen Z millennial type of spiritual leader type of function here. And even when we get Lucy, who amazingly goes to this retreat and gets a rival out of nowhere, like you kind of feel like, hey, this can be interesting as long as you give us the dynamics of this spiritual retreat that she's going on. The problem is the fun parts of this movie don't last nearly as long as this movie lasts. And when this movie leaves the spiritual retreat or ventures off away from it with a different storyline with the daughter Dylan, who is struggling to be a stunt performer and get the recognition that she feels she deserves, while also dealing with the relationship with what feels at times like an overbearing mother, like you're kind of lost at that point. And exactly, okay, what does this movie want to tell us? And this movie goes dark rather quickly as we get Lucy going through the motions of her spiritual journey at this resort. And once we get her going to everything at this retreat, and we see like just how screwed up she is, the film just flips and gives us something completely different. And when it flips, it gives us something different that we never asked for, nor did we need. And nor did we need the extra however minutes, 20 to 38 minutes extra of film that we got from this move. This film, at first I thought it could be a fun take on like a 28 days later. 28 days later, 28 days with Sandra Bullock when she goes off into the retreat for alcoholic recovery, drug recovery. I can't remember which one it was, but just that type of comedy, but darker, is what I expected to get out this film. And for portions, we really do get it. And Jennifer Connelly is so on her game in this film with Lucy and the things Lucy does. It is outrageous. Again, because I can't spoil it, but it's a scene here at the retreat that is gold. The moment you see it, it's just gonna leave you just like flabbergasted. Like this actually, this is something that happened here. It is such a powerful and great moment. And then we are cut completely at the knees with a completely different film. And when that happens, and the need to connect the mother and daughter relationship even more with the plot really drags down what could have been a really good dark comedy. That's the struggle point for Bad Behavior, is that at times it feels like it while it wants to give you this overview of Lucy's life and her attempting to work out her own personal issues as a result to be a better mom. We're thrusted to Dylan dealing with her own issues of being accepted in this job that she has. But Dylan's part doesn't feel full formed, and it interjects so much of Dylan's story into it. It feels like it undercuts Lucy's story completely. I would have been perfectly fine if this entire film would have been Lucy at the retreat working through her issues, and we only saw Dylan once at the beginning and maybe once at the end, and it was great. Instead, because it splits the baby between the two, it it just feels unnecessary at the end. Like Dylan, while a great character in a separate film, was never needed for this one. And because she wasn't needed for this one, and that has nothing to do with Alice's performance, she is great as Dylan in this film. The problem is, it just doesn't fit with the narrative that this film should have went down the path of. Instead, it feels like you're attempting to force two stories together that don't fully mesh well. Yes, we have a character working out her issues, and then we clearly know the direct correlation of her working out her issues has to do with her relationship with her daughter. But it just feels so forced, like they're trying to force these two together for the entire film, that it leaves the audience not caring about either one of them. Again, it's sad because the stuff at the retreat is gold. It really, really works. Like, it's shot beautifully. It's set up beautifully. Some of the best uh music I've heard in a film. The score is amazing, especially when we're at the retreat and everything that they're going through is shot so wonderfully. And then we get a completely different story arc of a different character, and you're wondering, okay, how much longer I gotta wait to this to get back to Lucy at the retreat? And that's the problem, is that every time Jennifer Connelly's off screen, you're kind of waiting for her to return back to screen, because the other story, while interesting, just doesn't feel like it's fully formed and fully part of this movie. And that's the issue here. It's two different films that you're trying to force into each other, when the one film that this opens up with, the one story that you will truly care about, all you had to do was focus on that even more, and I think we could have gotten a great film. Instead, we get an average at best type of film here out of Bad Behavior, and that's sad because it's directed extremely well. It is acted extremely well. All three of the main principles of this cast are really, really good in this film. The problem is, the stories just don't make sense at all. Like, even Ben, as the spiritual leader, I wanted more of that character to explain how he got to this point. I know it kind of sounds odd that I don't want to say necessarily say you're criticizing a film because you want more of a character, but you are, because that character is highly important in Lucy's story, and that's the story you needed in this film. The Dylan portion of the film is a drag. It's a letdown. It's unnecessary. And when you have a completely unnecessary subplot to a film that at times is jockeying with what should be the main plot of the film, you get that eternal struggle, and then you get that issue of, is this a film I need to see? And that's where Bad Behavior is stuck at. But again, Bad Behavior brought to you by the Sundance Film Festival. Out of a possible 10, I am going to give Bad Behavior 5 out of 10. It's a movie with so much potential that none of it was realized, because it feels like it's fighting against itself to be great. And you don't get films that do that often. Again, Jennifer Connelly's storyline in this film as Lucy is great. Absolutely great. Alice's storyline as Dylan is good. It just doesn't fit this film. and it's unnecessary in this film. This should have been a film about the self-discovery of Lucy and how to be a better person, how to be a better her as she works through all her traumas. Instead, we get a very much forced mother and daughter story that just feels like it's sacrificing the mother story and the daughter story to combine it into one. But when it drops, let us know what you think. This has been another JVS movie review from the Sundance Film Festival. Peace, people.